Okay, everyone, welcome back. This is video 4 on how to conduct a linear regression in IBM SPSS statistics. Now, we have previous videos, so let's do a quick overview of those 3 videos before we complete this 4th video on how to conduct a linear regression. Remember, first, there were questions given to 216 employees, and 9 of the questions you see here, CB1 through CB9, actually measure employee satisfaction. And we also had 7 questions, which are W2S1 through W2S7, and that measured work satisfaction. Now, remember in the first video, what we did was we actually checked the reliability of the measurement of that variable. So we took CBT1 through CBT9, and we actually hit analyze, and we looked for the reliability of the scale. Okay, so please watch video 1 to learn how to do that and read the output. And once we checked the reliability, and reliability was pretty good, then we went and the second video covered the compute variable function. And that function was used because once we realized that our actual questions measured the variable, we needed to actually combine those and make them into one variable. So what we did there was we went to transform compute variable, and please watch video 2 to learn how to take your questions that you asked and compile them into one variable. And so you can see here we have an employee satisfaction and we have work satisfaction. And then we took these two and we ran a Pearson correlation to see if there was a relationship between them. And that was covered in video 3. So now we're going to move to video 4. Oh, well, video 3 was very informative. So please go and watch how to actually run a Pearson correlation in IBM SPSS statistics. And we did learn that there was a positive correlation between employee satisfaction and work satisfaction. And it was a 0.638, which is a nice positive correlation between two variables. And it was at a less than 0.05 significance. So that gives us the green light to go ahead and go to linear regression to see exactly how much of the variance is explained by employee satisfaction. So let's go ahead and run a linear regression in IBM SPSS so we can read the output. First, go to Analyze, then go to Regression, and then go to Linear. Okay, now, please be mindful that we're only working with the employee satisfaction and the work satisfaction. Work satisfaction is our dependent variable, okay? So we're gonna highlight work satisfaction and put it in the dependent variable section. And then we're going to highlight employee satisfaction and move it into the independent box. Now, if you have multiple independent variables, they will go into the independent variable block, and you still use the same function in IBM SPSS. We just know this to be a linear regression because I only have one independent and, of course, only one dependent. If I add in an additional variable into the independent block, that would be called a multiple linear regression, but we're not covering multiple linear regressions in this video at this time. So just be sure that you have your dependent variable in the appropriate section, and you have your independent variable in the appropriate section. Next, we're going to click on statistics. Make sure you have estimates checked. Make sure your confidence interval is set at a 95%. And I'll go ahead and check R squared as well. And we're not going to worry about Durbin-Watson or case-wise for this video. And I will go ahead and select descriptors too and click to continue. And then I will hit my plot. So you have your Z predictor. That will be your X because this is our predictor variable. So we're going to do Z predictor, and Z residual will be our Y axis. So make sure you have Z predictor in the X and Z residual in the Y. Okay. And I do want my histogram and my normal probability plot checked as well. And we're going to click continue. Okay, let's go down to options. We're just going to leave this in its pre-selected information. So go ahead and click continue. When you click on style, there's nothing we're going to do in this section. So I just want to go through each one of these tabs so you can see. And we're not going to do bootstrap either. And I will explain that in another video for you as well. So we have everything we need checked here. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. And let's read the output. All right. Now, let's start from the top. Linear regression will repeat your Pearson correlation from video 3. And as you can see, the Pearson correlation in video 3 said 0.638. So we can confirm that it's still a 0.638. So there is a relationship between our dependent work satisfaction and our independent variable employee satisfaction. And as we can see with the significant test, that it is still significant at less than 0.05. So we're still good there. And N is just the amount of participants or employees we use to collect the information with. So we know for certain that employee satisfaction and work satisfaction are positively correlated. And we move on down up to a 0.05% confidence that it is. And then so we move down to the coefficients. I just want to explain this coefficient before we go further on in the video. So we can determine from looking here, we're going to start here at the 95% confidence interval. So we have a 0.391 as our lower and a 0.542 as our upper. Now, we can use this to predict that there's probably a less than 0.05 significance between the two variables. Why? Because 0.391 and 0.542 does not contain a zero, meaning that the value 0 is not in between 0.391 and 0.542. However, if this was a negative 3.91 and a positive 542, the value 0 would be in the middle of that. So we know that there's probably something wrong there, but we're good to go. I just want to explain, if the value 0 is not in between these numbers, there's a good chance that you have the right model to look at these variables. So we still have our significance again at 0.000, which is significant. So we can move on to the next phase. But I want to talk about your unstandardized coefficients. And I want to talk about your 0.467. So what this means is that employee satisfaction, for every increase of employee satisfaction, it explains 46% of the work satisfaction. So this is what our linear regression is informing us. It tells us that as employee satisfaction increases, it explains 46% of the variance. So we can improve on employee satisfaction. We can also improve on their work satisfaction by 46%. As we keep increasing employee satisfaction, then it would keep explaining the variance of work satisfaction at 46%. Now let's move down. I did select histogram. We did not cover how to clean data, look for missing data and outlier data. That's going to be in a different video, but we want to make sure our data is normally distributed. And once we clean this up, it would be, but we have some outliers over here. We have an outlier over here, but I just wanted you to know how to read that output in IBM SPSS statistics. So this is where you find your normal distribution of your data, and it should be in the bell curve, okay, within 2 standard deviations of the mean. All right, and this is our best fit line, and you can see here that our data plotted on this line, there is visually, we can see that there is a positive increase with the variables. As one increased, the other also increased. So we're good to go there. And this is our scatter plot. And what we look for in a scatter plot is it should look similar to a bird's nest, meaning that there shouldn't be any distinct pattern on our scatter plot. If we see a distinct pattern in the scatter plot, that would be another indicator that this is not the best model to determine the relationship between these variables. But the fact that our dots are all over the plot, scatter plot, this lets us know that this is one of the best models to use to determine the relationship between employee satisfaction and work satisfaction. Now, there's a lot we can go through on the output. I only went over the most important parts for this video that I'm making. Please tune in for another video where we go more in detail on how to read each section of the SPSS output for linear regression. So I hope you learned a little bit from this video. And if you have any questions, click on the link below or send me an email and we can talk privately.